My dad will call me. Go over to Instagram. Go live over here. We're good there. Post on Facebook that we're live. Nope, don't want to make an event. Just post the message. And Twitter post. So is the weather pretty good down there? I know it's wintertime.
It's a bit chilly, but I guess chilly is relative. With you guys, it gets a lot colder. So for us, it's 15 degrees Celsius, which I think is about 60 Fahrenheit.
Oh.
So we're all complaining that it's freezing. You might think that's not too bad.
I'd take it. That sounds good. It's 95 Fahrenheit here right now. So it's smoking. So we just went to dinner before this. My wife and I would go to the Mexican restaurant before the Wednesday shows, and I have the top off the Jeep and the doors off and everything. And I jumped in. She's like, "We're taking the Jeep. It's hot." It's like, "Yeah, but once we get moving, it'll be fine." And it was okay. My daughter's actually in Spain. She's living it up in Barcelona.
That's incredible.
Yeah, the pictures look gorgeous. I'm so jealous. All right, so this will be episode 2533. Hey to everybody who's joining us over on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram. Pecos 1911 and MJ Staples 041010. All right. Set. Let's do this. Here we go. Welcome to episode 2533 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Monday to you. Hope you had an awesome weekend, and we're so glad that you're here with us to kick off another week with us here on the show. And today we have a very special show, and I'm just going to tell you what, I'm going to be a little confused as to what day we're referring to on today's podcast, because I'm going to call today the 3-day podcast, because I'm going to let you peek behind the scenes, a little Wizard of Oz action here today. We record most of our Monday trip report shows on Wednesday evenings, so we have time to edit things and get them ready for the feed on Mondays. But our special guest is coming to us literally from the other side of the world, down in Sydney, Australia, where it is Thursday morning. And of course, most of you guys are listening to the show on Monday. So if I throw in that it's Tuesday or Thursday or Friday, who knows? It's a podcast. It's the beauty of podcasting. You could listen to this thing 10 years from now and it would just be fine. So we are excited to take technology. It still blows me away that we can do this today. We're heading down to Sydney, Australia, home of the Swans. Let's hope we turn it around in time to make a great playoff push, right, Aiden? I'm still rooting for him. Have not put the hat on my head lately because I know I'm a jinx, but I will have it on proudly here soon. Go Swannies. But joining us today from Sydney, Australia, Thursday morning, where she is, Natalie. Natalie, happy Thursday. What's going on?
Happy Thursday, Mike. It's good to speak to you.
Or Monday, as everybody's listening.
Or Monday, whatever day of the week. It's a pleasure to be on the show.
I've already done it. So, of course, people here in North America listening to the show, it is, dog days of summer, the beginning of August. Everybody almost getting ready to go back to school. How are things down in Australia this time of year? What's happening down that part of the world?
It's winter here, so we're all complaining about how cold it is. But as we were saying before the show started, it's probably a bit relative. I think it's 60 degrees Fahrenheit here, so you guys might still be wearing t-shirts there. We're all complaining and wearing lots of layers.
I could handle that. I could take that. It gets below 0 Fahrenheit here where I live in the wintertime. So yeah, 60 would be totally fine with me. Let me ask you this, because the world's kind of coming together right now. I love this, that we get to talk during the Olympics, right? As Scott talked on Friday about his Disneyland Paris trip. Of course, Olympics taking place in Paris, France right now. We're talking, 2 different countries, 2 different hemispheres. It's awesome. How are the Olympics being received down in Australia? Is it like a big fever where you live? Like, what is everybody? I'm totally into it, and everybody I know around me, like, we're glued to the TV. What's it like down there?
Yeah, so we're all glued to the TV. The Aussies love their sport, and we're super proud of all the women. I think all of the gold medals so far have been for the women, so it's fantastic.
I know there's a rivalry between the U.S. and Australia in swim. At least they're making it out on our TV, the swimming thing. Like, we got to beat the Aussies in swimming. And the rugby thing was a big deal with the women. But I think the Aussies and the United States swimmers have a little bit of a right, something with cowbells. I don't. Maybe they don't make that out in Australia, but they're making it really out on TV. I don't know, but we'll see.
I think so. I don't know if it's just the media, but I'm sure our guys are just trying to do their best and compete against themselves rather than against other countries. But
makes for good TV. I mean,
absolutely.
And they're all amazing athletes. It's unbelievable anyway. So it'll be fun. I root for everybody. You know, I just want to see everybody do a great job. But of course, it'll be fun to watch. And yeah, it's great. So let's talk. We have so much to talk about. Let's jump into your trip. But real quick though, I love hearing people's little backstory about, you know, you're in Australia. What's it like being a Disney fan down there? I mean, do you have a lot of content, a lot of contact with the Disney product being down in that part of the world?
So I've always loved Disney movies, you know, a good romance, all the music and that sort of stuff. I don't think we have as much as you guys, but certainly there's a lot of fans over here. You know, the cruise ship, I'm not sure which one it was, but one of the Disney ships came out last year, and people went nuts trying to get bookings. So definitely it's popular as well. I was lucky enough when I was younger to go to Disneyland when I was 14. So my parents love to travel, and they took us over there. And I think they thought, as a 14-year-old, they weren't quite sure whether I was going to love it or hate it. You know, was I going to be too cool for Disney? But I absolutely loved it. I remember, you know, it was just felt magical in the air. It was just amazing. And so I definitely fell in love with it on that trip.
I love that, because I totally know that age, because I taught elementary school, like kids of that age, and everything was, even you thought like, you're going to love this, too cool for school, right? It's, you know, yeah. I want to love it, but I can't externally show that because it would be not cool. Do you have anything that stuck out about that trip to Disneyland that just really like a core memory that made you kind of fall in love with the place?
I just remember walking around Toontown. We're eating foot-long hot dogs, which is not something we had in Australia. So I think as a teenager, we're like, wow, this is cool. One memory I always think about is I think the Indiana Jones ride had just opened, and me and my dad saw the line and it said it was going to be 20 minutes. And we went, oh, no way. Sorry, it said it was going to be like an hour and a half. And we went, no way, look at that. That's going to be 20 minutes. Like, it's not long at all. What we didn't realize was how far the line went underground. Like, it was literally Raiders of the Lost Ark underground. So 2 hours later, we finally got on the ride. Absolutely incredible, loved it. But I always think, I don't know what my mum thought happened to us, because we didn't have mobile phones back then. So me and Dad have just disappeared, and we just ended up having this great time on this ride. So
yeah, a couple of things. How did we get back? Because we used to go to a local amusement park back in those days called Six Flags here in the States, and our parents would turn us loose and just be like, meet back at the fudge shop at 5 o'clock. And then, you know, be like 10 o'clock in the morning. I mean, seriously, like 7 hours later, meet you at the fudge shop. You know, we didn't have phones or anything. Just, okay, see you in 7 hours. Like,
I don't know. The mum was probably waiting at security trying to find us, but
crazy. And you're right. I mean, Scott and I say that you could do a Run Disney race, like a 5K in that queue. It's so long. Oh my gosh. It's definitely something
so well done.
Experience. It is so long. I mean, if you want to fill up your circles on your Apple Watch, go
yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about your trip. You were down in September. You guys did such cool stuff. Let's talk planning just for a brief moment, because planning has to be, you got to really think about this coming from Australia. So what are the logistical things you think that may be different from domestic trips for us? Because, you know, like, I think it's far away for me, and it's 1,000 miles. It's a 2-hour flight. What do you have to consider, especially coming from as far away as Australia? What's difficult?
I think for us, because the trips are fewer, because we are so far, we're a lot more focused on what are the must-dos. You know, I know that you've sort of said, you know, you don't want to always have to be focused on we have to eat every ride or every restaurant, but we really had to think about how do we make the most of our time to actually do what we want. So we hadn't visited, me and my husband went, one of our first trips overseas, we went to Disney World in 2008. So it had been a really long time since we'd visited, and the parks had changed so much. So what we needed to think about, and we were traveling with our friends, is what did everyone want to do? Because we may not be able to come for another couple of years. So how do we actually make the most of that? So what we did was we had a couple of planning dinners with our friends, and we really just made a list of everything we wanted to do to sort of lay out the days. like Galactic Starcruiser was the driving force behind the trip. But obviously, once we'd gone all that way, we wanted to also get to go to the parks and do all these other amazing things too. So definitely making lists of what we wanted to prioritize things like the restaurants, because I had knew that the ADRs could be difficult to get.
I like it. So you really kind of went, and you were down in September. So was Star Cruiser, because it's at the end of Star Cruiser's voyages. This was the end of the Star Cruiser's lifespan. Was that kind of the driver for this trip? Like we had to get there before it closed. You guys big Star Wars fans?
Well, we'd actually had it booked like a year out. We had always, when it opened, I was obsessed with the thing. We're big Star Wars fans, but I was just obsessed with it because it just looks such a unique and incredible experience. I've been following it since they announced it, 5 years ago. And my friend was saying, when are we going to go back to Disney? I said, we're not going till they build that Star Wars hotel. Like, we're gonna do it. And so we had originally planned to do it a little bit further down the track, because when it opened, it was obviously quite expensive, and more expensive than I thought it was going to be. But I was looking at Instagram every single day and showing my husband pictures, and he said, listen, you obviously want to go. Let's just book it. You don't know what's going to happen. It is expensive. It is different. Who knows? And I said, well, like, they're not going to close it. Like, what are you talking about? He's like, listen, just book it. And so now he's claiming to be some sort of future teller, because he predicted this, and we thankfully managed that our booking was the fourth last one. So yeah,
you got to he saw the future there. It was very
he saw the future. So maybe Disney want to hire him as some sort of consultant. I don't know.
Sometimes you can speak things into being. Sometimes you just don't know. So let me ask you this. So you were really wanting to do this. You saw the experience, and you said Disney's really good at bringing thematic places into the real world.
Yeah.
When you finally got to experience it, because I want to, a couple things I want to ask you about this, because we got so much. I want to kind of throw everything in here as much as we can over the next 45 minutes or so. What, like, we've all kind of heard people say like what they liked about it, what they thought Disney could have changed. What were your overall impressions though when you got there? Because you came from such a distance, you had such impressions, you've been kind of following it from day one. Did it meet your expectations? What was it? I mean, just tell us what you thought.
Yeah, absolutely. That Disney, as you've said, is incredible at creating these experiences. And it was like we were walking into a Star Wars movie. Every single thing was beautifully themed, down to like the remote. The TV remote could have just been a normal remote, but they'd even themed that. The food was incredible. The actors they had were incredible. I think the experience was designed to be immersive. We're not cosplayers, we're not into that sort of thing, but we do love a dress up. So our crew, so I was traveling with my husband, my best friend, her partner and daughter. Only my husband and my best friend went with us because we're the Star Wars fans. The other guys stayed behind, but we made the most of it by dressing up, just because who doesn't love a dress up? And we were never going to be able to do this thing again. So we just loved running around, doing all of the missions, the lightsaber training, the stuff that you see on the movies that you would never be able to do in real life. It was phenomenal. They just did such a good job. What I did here, so I listened to another podcast which is on Galactic Starcruiser. Hopefully I'm allowed to mention on podcasts on this one.
Hey, I'm a fan of all podcasts. Let's give them a love.
So Heroes of the Halcyon is a podcast dedicated to Galactic Starcruiser, and I'd heard them talk about how you're so immersed that you don't remember to take photos. Now, Mike, that was not me. We are never going back on this thing. I documented every single bit of the shit with
I'm so glad
with photos.
Because I'm kind of cheap, right? And I buy souvenirs here and there, but I'm always taking pictures because they're free. And then when I come home, it makes my heart warm to see pictures like 5 years later of a random like running track on a Disney Cruise Line ship or something. I mean, I'm just the pictures are what bring back the stories. And
absolutely.
I'm glad you did, because when you said that, I'm like, oh my gosh. And plus, now that it's an extinct, not attraction, but it's an extreme, basically resort or experience. Wow, those things are not only personally connected to you, but you have something that nobody else can go back to get. I mean, those are valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. So my friend has, there was a mission where Chewbacca's come on board and you need to hide him to get him to engineering to hide him from the First Order, like the bad guys. So everyone's pretending to do this ship tour to hide him. And my friend in the middle of it gets a selfie with Chewbacca. So while everyone else is like playing along with the story, my friend Lisa's just got this memory forever of this Chewbacca selfie. So just those sort of memories are just something you can't do anywhere else.
I would get along well with that friend of yours because I would totally be taking this off. She would be like, "You're gonna get me taken by the first order," but selfie. Okay, let's
Yeah. just before you say from the first order, get this selfie.
exactly. Kylo Ren's coming. 2 seconds. Here we I like that friend. I like the way he thinks. Well, I'll have this forever. You'll be taken off in that ship, and Kylo Ren and Rey will be fighting over, and it's gonna blow up. And I've seen the movie, but anyway.
At least we got our photo.
I'll have the picture for the rest of my life. It'll be great on my mantle. It'll be great. No, but that's so. Let me ask you this though, because you got to experience it. And I know we have lots of friends who are like hardcore Star Wars fans. Also Starcruiser fans. Shout out to Ella and Dr. Kai and a lot of folks. What would you say that since you've experienced it, what could Disney have learned to maybe keep this thing going? Was it strictly a cost thing in your opinion, or was it something that maybe didn't? Why, in your opinion, everybody's got opinions, right or wrong, but I mean, what made this thing go out of business?
I think I keep on these other things that I've read on the podcast, they talk about the marketing not being correct. And I think that's probably it. People didn't understand what it was, and all they saw was this huge price tag. But anyone that I know who's gone has said that they saw the value in it. So I think people had this misconception that you needed to be this fully immersed cosplayer and to do that sort of thing. What was brilliant about it is you could do as little or as much as you wanted. While some people were doing these missions and pretending to be these characters and living their lifelong dream, we were hanging out in the sublight lounge, and there was cocktails, and you could do what you wanted, or you can go and just like take the photos, or just go and enjoy. You didn't have to do, I think, the level of what people thought, if that makes sense.
Right.
So I think they should have marketed that you don't need to be this full cosplayer person, and you show the value that you're going to get.
So have you ever done a Disney cruise, or are you a cruiser?
We're a cruiser, but we haven't done Disney cruises. We've done Princess and Royal Caribbean.
But I mean, would you compare it similar? Because I mean, I didn't do Galactic Starcruiser. I just never, it was too expensive for my family. And I just, it was one of those things, I thought it was going to be around longer than it was. I did the opposite of you. Like, I was like, I'll get to it someday. And then boom. So see ya. It's not here anymore. And, I'd take the family on cruises instead. But in my mind's eye, it was more of a cruise experience, like on land than.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that what you would say?
I think you're right. You could sit there and hang out on deck 4 and just sit in the sun, or you could go and do every activity that they have on the planner. So yeah, I agree. I think it was up to you how much you wanted to do. For me, the dressing up was, part of the fun for us, because that meant we could sort of be part of it. That evolved when we found out it was closing. Me and my friend had 4 outfit changes, day and night for both days. My husband just had sort of the same pants and jacket with different shirts. He was less into the outfit changes, but for us, having these photos in this environment, as you said, that's the memories for us. And the food, oh my gosh, the food was absolutely phenomenal. The theming, Disney is incredible at themed food. This was another level.
And they had like characters going around. I mean, during the meals, and the food was all different colors.
Yeah, like a dinner show, and all of the actors. There was a story that ran throughout. So yeah, absolutely amazing.
Man. Yeah, I would have been. See, like if I'd have gone with my wife, right? She would have never ever. She doesn't like attention, right? She's married to the wrong person. She calls me Mr. Microphone, and she doesn't like attention at all. And like we taught 6th grade together at elementary school and sponsored all the activities in the building. And every time we have a big assembly, I was always the guy at the microphone, always doing all the talent shows and all that stuff. And she'd organize everything, but she never wanted to be up front and center. She's like, I'll do all the organizing, all the paperwork, all the stuff you hate. Just get up there and talk in front of the whole school. So we're a good couple, but like she would never cosplay or like wear a costume on Starcruiser. She might maybe go with me, maybe if I begged her. But like I'd be like, it's only 2 days. Like I have to get my money's worth, or 3 days, whatever. I'd be, I'd have my jumpsuit on, like I'm, Luke Skywalker, or whatever. I'd be Han Solo in it, because what other opportunity do you get? You're not going to be around these people. It's how I feel on a cruise, right? I mean, I have a good time in Evolution or the Tube or whatever each night, because if I'm playing the Newlywed Game or playing a scavenger hunt, on a cruise, I'm never going to see these people again. I'm not going to be
exactly.
Crazy. I'm going to have a good time. Who cares if you embarrass yourself a little bit? It's fun. Anyway,
it's all about fun. Exactly.
So people just have a little fun. So you did that. So you did that at the beginning of the trip, right? To kind of kick it off, because That's kind of limited availability there. So you decided, then you went to Caribbean Beach after that?
We did. So we went to Caribbean Beach. The next day when we left, they organised a transfer for you. So we dropped off our bags at the hotel, which was kind of funny because we built a lightsaber on Batu. So we dropped off, I think, 2 large suitcases, our carry-ons, and a lightsaber with, with bell services.
I love when I get on the planes domestically, you see people, you know, it's the only place, Orlando's the only place when you're going home, you see people board airplanes with lightsabers. Like, it's like this.
And we were one of those people.
Now, like, I don't even bat an eye anymore. Like when I'm flying home to St. Louis, like typically there's somebody getting on the plane with a lightsaber. Like, okay, all right, somebody's got a lightsaber.
Mike, we also did the droid building on Batu, so our suitcases were then full of the outfits from Galactic Starcruiser, 2 droids, a lightsaber, and they gave us a free shield when we bought the lightsaber. So suddenly I had to find room for a giant shield in my suitcase. So that was delightful. But so we left all of that with bell services, and our room wasn't ready at Caribbean Beach, so we headed over to studios. We thought let's take advantage of the Skyliner and just go to one of the parks, and it had changed phenomenally since we'd been there. All of the Toy Story Land, all of Galaxy's Edge. So we went until we couldn't go anymore, and then we headed back when our room was ready to Caribbean Beach.
So what did you think? Because you haven't been there in a long time, and the studios is probably the park that had seen the most dramatic changes. I mean, obviously, Great Movie Ride's gone. Now you have Mickey and Minnie's, and Toy Story Land's brand new. I mean, Batu. I mean, that's that's probably 75% different park than you saw that last time.
Yeah, absolutely. We loved it. It's such a beautifully done park. Toy Story Mania is one of our favorites. You know, to Millennium Falcon, Rise, just there's some absolutely incredible rides there. The queues, I will say, were very long for what we had experienced so many years ago. But the funny story is, that night we went back and crashed after Galactic Starcruiser in the afternoon. Woke up, it was absolutely pouring. Most people were leaving the park, so my husband said, listen, we're Aussies, we've come all this way, we're going out in that rain. So I had packed some rain jackets, and while everyone was leaving, we headed in and we walked onto every ride pretty much that you could want to go on in the park. So we didn't need Genie Plus. We managed to just run around in the rain and go on whatever we wanted.
Well, so that was going to be my next question, was about Genie Plus, because you came from I guess your last trip was obviously before Genie. Was it in the Fast Pass Plus days?
It was in Fast Pass, yeah.
Oh man, that was a long time ago. Oh my gosh, I can't look out. Oh, those were the days. Oh my gosh, those such good old days. So what was your, I mean, God, I haven't talked to anybody. I haven't asked this question in forever. But what was that like? I mean, a shock to the system going from the old fast, because now we're kind of back to the Fast Pass Plus days almost. You just got to pay for it.
But I know. I feel like we got ripped off a little bit, because when we went, there was park reservations and sort of this old Genie Plus, and now we're in the new era. But yeah. Look, I'd read a lot about it, so I was prepared. We were prepared to buy it most days. We didn't need it a lot of days. We did get it one day for Magic Kingdom because we were going on a Saturday, and we just thought it was going to be really busy, and it was absolutely worth it that day. We used it for a lot of rides. My favorite has always been Big Thunder, so that was my first pick for it. But we even used it throughout the day. I wanted to get a picture with Mickey, and the queue was 50 minutes, so we just walked on to get a picture with Mickey. So definitely we used it quite a bit on that Magic Kingdom day.
Yeah, I mean, I've bought it one day at Walt Disney World. It was just the day we got off the cruise in 23 last year after the podcast cruise. My oldest daughter, had one day to go to one park before she had to go back to Chicago to go back to work. And she hadn't been to she's kind of like you. She hadn't been to the studios in years and years, hadn't seen Batu, hadn't seen Toy Story Land. I was like, okay, we're just going to buy Genie Plus so you can see the whole park. And man, we went from time we got to the studios to the close with Genie Plus. We got a ton done. I mean, I cannot argue with it. It's just, I hate buying it, you know, like especially for 4 people, but it's its job. I mean, we just kept, but we were on our phone constantly. Like I felt like I was always like feeling like a statistician the whole day, you know, like how can I match?
Yeah, you were constantly anxious about, what's our next one, and making these decisions. So yeah, right. But I think for the day that we went, we definitely got the value out of it. We managed the other days because we were there for a little bit longer. We made it work that we didn't need it.
Nice. All right. So Caribbean Beach, did it work out well for you as a place to stay?
Beautiful resort. I think we were in Jamaica, so it was sort of 5 minutes over to the shop, and then sort of maybe 7 minutes to the Skyliner. It is an absolutely enormous resort, though. So, it's absolutely huge. So we definitely felt it when you're coming back off the Skyliner in the middle of the day for a nap, and it's 1,000,000 degrees. That walk back from the Skyliner seemed really huge.
It is, because I run there when I stay there, and it is gigantic, especially if you run down to the Trinidad and Tobago, the where the pirate.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, because I go down on the other side of the bridge down there. Oh, it's big.
but
Guys,
absolutely beautiful.
did you ever? It is. I do like it. Did you ever go over to the Riviera? Maybe enjoy a little Primo Piatto, anything like that? I hope you did.
I was very tempted. Just there was so much to do. We just didn't make it up there. So I was disappointed to miss out on your favorite sandwich, but maybe next time.
Next time. It sounds like you guys ate okay. I see your notes.
We ate pretty well, and we love our food. I wanted to eat more, but there's only so much you can eat.
I'm right with you. That's how I feel. Like I go down with the best of intentions. I'm going to have, especially with this podcast. This podcast is terrible because all day long I'm looking at the clubhouse, and everybody's posting in the clubhouse, the channel about dining. Like, you got to take this snack. You got to do this. Man, I only have one stomach. You only get 3 squares, a couple snacks a day, and that's it. I can't do all this. I want to. My heart wants to, but I'm trying. Okay, so you did that. You stayed at Caribbean Beach, and so what were some other highlights though from the theme parks? Let's kind of, and then we'll talk a little dining. But you said the studios was a shock. Magic Kingdom, you used Genie Plus. You were there on a Saturday. Anything stand out as far as changes at the Magic Kingdom or highlights over there?
We did Seven Dwarfs early. I think I just love the nostalgia of Magic Kingdom. It always just seems like the most magical. So we definitely enjoyed that. And going on, as I said, my favorite's always been Big Thunder. Absolutely love that. We went on it at night as well. I know Scott had said that it is thunderier at night, and and it is. That was really cool. Definitely at Epcot, we loved Guardians. Although I did find, as you said, the one and done. For some, we love our rides and our roller coasters, but I found this time some of them just made me feel a little bit sick. I don't know if it's some of all the virtual reality. Guardians, everyone was having a great time, and I loved it, but I didn't really need to do it again. I appreciated it for what it was, but I did start feeling a little bit dizzy with all the spinning around.
Welcome to my world.
It was upsetting.
It is, right? It's like, it's a shot of reality right there in the arm. Like, I don't need this. Like, I should be able to ride this 6 times, but I can't. And I agree. It's an amazing ride. It's got great audio. It's got great visuals. It's a fun story. I mean, I've never seen the movie. I guess it's a fun story. The raccoon's pretty cool. All the characters look fun. I like to hang out with them sometime, I think. Apparently one of the guys is from St. Peters, Missouri, where I live. I don't know. Somebody told me that. Maybe they're lying to me. But yeah, I mean, I get it. But I can't take that anymore. I just gotta, there's a few things I can't do anymore. And apparently it's Guardians of the Galaxy. So, but it's good. But so was navigating the parks though, with like virtual queues. That's something that's new, because you mentioned park reservations. You mentioned Genie Plus. Did you have any issues with virtual queues, and how do you feel about that? Are you pro or anti virtual queue?
What I don't love about the virtual queue is I feel like it restricts everyone's access. Not everyone can just queue and go on a ride. If you can miss out. So I was up early, obviously hitting refresh at 1 minute to 7. On the Guardians queue, we got I think a group which said it should be 3:30, and so everyone headed back. My husband actually wasn't feeling very well that day, so we headed back at lunch just to rest, and everyone had a bit of a nap. I woke up and got an alert and said, "Oh, your queue is up in half an hour," and I panicked and jumped on the Skyliner and sort of ran back there, and we managed to get on. I guess I prefer just being able to line up and go on a ride. But look, we got onto Tron, we got onto Guardians, but it did seem to add a little bit more stress than what it needed to.
It does, because I'm the kind of person, and I know, like, say some of them you can go like after your window opens, that they're fine with that. But I'm a rule follower.
But right? I wasn't sure as well. Like I thought someone might let us do that, but equally someone else might not. So I didn't want us to miss out.
Exactly, because I'm like, dude, I'm gonna get the person that's exactly how I feel. I'm like, the person that's standing there is going to be the biggest stickler in the history of Walt Disney World cast members. I'm like, sorry, not today, sucker. You're not getting in. Because I'm always watching the thing like, You know, the little bars fill up. You got the 5 bars. Okay, I'm at 3 bars. I'm always updating the family like, we're at 3 bars, you know, and it'll say something like, you're almost there, you know, like, and I'll let everybody know we're almost there, so we can't leave. You know, we got to be semi in the neighborhood of whatever, you know, Tron, or, you know, we can't leave the Magic Kingdom, or at least, you know, we can't leave the Contemporary, so we can just get on the monorail. Or it
Well,
seems like,
that was my mistake. We did leave the park, came home and have a relaxing nap, woke up, saw this alert. I jumped out of bed, threw it back on some clothes, sprinted down to the Skyliner, trying to frantically ring my friends who were at Pop Century, saying, "Oh my God, our queue, get here,
whoa,
let's roll."
it's
Um,
it shouldn't
and, and briskly walking through, obviously the smallest of all of the parks, being Epcot, trying to get back to Guardian. So I felt like, and then I was in the queue for 40 minutes anyway after that. So I don't know, I probably look like a crazy person, but I got on that ride.
and we call this vacation, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we do. It's so funny because I'm picturing
Super
it.
relaxing vacation.
Absolutely, it's exactly stress. That's exactly it. That's totally it. So did you guys head over to Animal Kingdom? Well, I know you did. I'll talk about this in a second. You did Wild Africa Trek, which I want to get your thoughts on that because that sounds awesome. I've never done that. But what about the park itself? You guys spend time over there?
Yeah, so I've always loved Animal Kingdom. I was one of my favorites last time, and I've always wanted to stay at Animal Kingdom Lodge. So we moved over from Caribbean Beach to there, and so we had the 2 days at Animal Kingdom, and on the second day we did the Wild Africa Trek. It's a beautiful park. It was incredibly hot though. I don't remember it being that hot on our last visit.
I mean, my wife has said since she coined this term, and I swear she said it the first time I ever heard it, Animal Kingdom hot, because we have a picture of when they were building Expedition Everest. It's on my wall. We were back in that corner of the park, and we have like, it's just the steel structure of Everest when they're putting it in. And I was passing out. And Mallory wasn't even born. Paige, my oldest, was like 10. And I was just like, oh God, it's so hot in this park. I mean, it was so hot that day. It was in July. And she's like, it is like Animal Kingdom hot in this place. It is like its own kind of hot. I'm like, you just named something, because it is. It's like its own kind of hot in there because it's jungle. It's like a jungle. It's like humid. All those trees and all the animals. But you're exactly right. You got to watch it when you go over there. Now, you stayed at Animal Kingdom Lodge. Really cool place to stay. So you got to stay at the Galactic Starcruiser, super thematic. Animal Kingdom Lodge, same thing. Caribbean Beach has that this Caribbean feel, that beachy feel. You picked 3 really like intensely thematic resorts. I like that. You're nice. Cool pick.
For me, as part of travel, I always think that, unique experiences are why we travel, and Disney does the theming so incredibly well. So I thought, why not make the most of that? Our very first trip, we stayed at All Star Sports. That was what our budget allowed, and obviously that's also great theming. But we wanted to stay somewhere a little bit nicer this time, and I certainly think we achieved that.
Any tips or any thoughts on Animal Kingdom Lodge for anybody staying there? Because I know we have a lot of folks coming up here staying there soon, especially I saw folks today talking about it in the clubhouse.
Yeah, oh, look, it's absolutely beautiful. Like the foyer when we walked in was incredible. I think the only one we saw that was better was Wilderness Lodge. But we booked the Savannah View room. I've really felt strongly that we needed that, and when we walked in, I was like, oh, was this worth the money? I'm not sure. And on the second day, there's a little bit of rain, and we had, I think, every animal around that lodge somehow walking around out in front of our room, and everyone was out just watching it. And so it was definitely, again, a really cool experience that, we wouldn't have got if we didn't stay at that hotel.
Yeah, you can go standard view at Animal Kingdom Lodge. You can walk down the hall, and every hall has these kind of corners, these little coves where you can look out, and there's look big windows and little couches, and that's fine to look out on the savannah. That's if that's the only way you can stay at the lodge, totally go for that. But there is something special about is right there, basically at the foot of your bed. You just kind of roll over, and it's like a veranda stateroom on a cruise. That's what I equated to.
Yeah, absolutely.
You just roll out there, and a giraffe or like some gazelle or just running right past your little balcony there, or some wildebeest or whatever they are. It's just, I mean, it's like watching the real life Lion King to me, from where I'm from. Like, I never see animals like that. It's just it's wild for a couple of days.
It was like you said, really special. We're like, oh, there's a giraffe, he's eating this tree, and you could walk out and just and have a bit of a laugh and take some photos. I have on my ultimate bucket list to do a safari one day in Africa. And my husband's telling me, well, no, we've done the Animal Kingdom launch now. You don't need to do that. So
smart guy. He's like, no, that's close enough. Check. We're in the ballpark. I like it.
Yep, we've checked that off.
I got you, Galactic Starcruiser. That's good enough. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about Wild Africa Trek, though, because that is one of those really cool where you get personal, like you get to go to the next level of, it's not just going to Animal Kingdom. You get to get up close with the keepers. You get to find out inside information. You get to get close to the animals. Tell us about that. Did that live up to the expectations too?
Yeah, that I actually think that surpassed my expectations. So the way I've been describing it is it's essentially your own private 3-hour Kilimanjaro safari. So I know a lot of people love going on that ride or that tour when they're at the park, but we had the 3 hours where, you're walking behind the scenes, areas that other people don't get to go. We stopped with some of the keepers while they were feeding the hippos. And, it's the same areas from Kilimanjaro safaris because you're seeing the cars go past, but in different areas. So seeing them feed the hippos, that was so cool. We went on those bridges, which obviously other people don't get to access. I walked very carefully on those bridges. I'd heard some horror stories about people falling or tripping. But, you're walking over these areas and seeing all these animals below, which is really cool. And then the highlight for me was they serve you this beautiful lunch in like this little cabin in the middle of the savannah. So again, you're seeing the cars sort of driving past, but you're just getting to sit there and watch the animals yourself rather than just this quick glimpse, and trying to take a photo. So that was just super cool, super fun, beautiful food. And they've got a professional photographer with you. So as we've established previously, I love my photos and things just aren't fun unless you've got the photos to take home with you. But because they had this person, with this incredible camera, I actually didn't need to worry about have I got the perfect picture of that giraffe or that elephant because they were taking way better photos than I was going to take. So I could just sit back and enjoy it. And then they also took some really fun photos and stuff of everyone. So yeah, that was really special. So I highly recommend that for anyone who loves the animal experience.
Yeah, one of our listeners actually just got back a couple weeks ago from doing Wild Africa Trek, and in the clubhouse posted a bunch of her pictures that the photographer took during their trek. And I was like, oh my gosh, those are great pictures, like action shots. And like you said, even them eating their lunch, like from a distance. I mean, it was like almost like a photojournalist like type experience, like kind of documenting the day. I was like, wow, that is super cool. Like I'd almost pay the amount for the tour just to get those pictures. It looks so neat. But the other thing is too, like I love Kilimanjaro Safari too. And I've gone on just the safari and I'm always jealous of the folks like you that are up on the top of that savannah there. I can tell like drinking your pog juice and having your sandwiches. I don't know what you're having, but it's a lot better than just sitting on that Jeep and looking at the animals. Like you're living your best life up there. It looks so cool.
Well, next time, Mike, maybe you need to pop that on the list to get it done.
I know. I just need to do these things. I know. Maybe when I'm down next time, we'll see. I'm always running races. That's my problem. I need to do something else. I got to get these stupid medals and stop doing that kind of stuff. So, okay. I want to talk dining here in a second, but I know that you, unfortunately, your husband had some illness during the trip and you had to kind of take care of that. So I wanted to share that in case, if you don't mind, just for the benefit of our audience, in case it comes up, because sometimes people do have an unexpected illness during a trip and you had to take care of that mid-trip. So how did that go for you and how'd you resolve it?
Yeah, happy to share because I think it might help some other people as well. He was feeling a little bit dizzy, feeling a little bit unwell and dizzy on some of the rides when we were at Epcot. Certainly Mission Space didn't help that. That was a grave error. But he was going downhill rapidly. So as I said before, he went back. We took him home from Epcot. It killed me because Mickey and Minnie popped up right when we were leaving, and my instinct was to stay and get that photo. But because I love him so much, we jumped on the Skyliner instead.
That's true love.
That's true love.
I'm sick, but Mickey and Minnie are here. But I'm sick.
And then my friends were sending us their photos as well, which was even worse. No. So we realized that definitely he needed to see a doctor. We've come all this way. If he's feeling dizzy on rides, we're literally at a theme park to go on rides. If he can't go on the rides, this whole trip is for nothing. Right. So I went and spoke to the foyer at Caribbean Beach, and they said there's a couple of different options. One is that you can ring and sort of get a telehealth appointment, and If need be, they can then take you to their emergency care section, or we can get a doctor to come to the room. So I tried to do the virtual, like the telehealth, but maybe because my number wasn't in America, it just wasn't working. So I ended up ringing the service to get someone to come out. They were fantastic. They talked us through sort of on the phone what the issues were, and they organised for a doctor to come out within a couple of hours. The poor lady, they wrote the room number wrong. So she's walking around Caribbean Beach trying to find us. Like, can you imagine? Like, it's hard enough to navigate that place when you know where you're going. So luckily I rang it and they found us. It ended up being by the time we'd sort of seen the doctor and they'd given us some medication, it ended up being, quite a few $100s. And with the Australian dollar conversion, it was sort of $800. We were luckily able to claim that on our travel insurance. As I said, though, if he couldn't go on the rides and things, it still would have been worth it, even if we couldn't have claimed the money. It turns out he had some sort of water in his ear and that was giving him vertigo. So they gave him some things to sort of dry that up. What I thought was really cool, we had to get these prescriptions. Some of the things she had on her and others she didn't. And so the prescription service will deliver the prescription to you either at the hotel or the park. And so I was like, how does that work? Am I going to be sitting at 50s primetime having dinner, having my stuff delivered to us, or am I going to be in a queue for Rise and suddenly this? And they said, no, ma'am, we drop it off to the first aid tent. But so in the end, we just said, look, let's get it dropped off to the foyer. We'll go to dinner and we'll come back and we'll get it. We didn't want to have to stuff around sort of trying to find where the pickup spot was in the park. So it was a really good service. Because we had quite a few days, we were able to swap things around and give him a bit of a rest day. So in the end, he was on the mend and back on the roller coasters in good time.
I hope he didn't go back on Mission Space, though. I mean,
we will never go back on Mission Space.
Say, don't go back. Don't learn your lesson. No, it's good to hear, though. And that's great advice. I just want to throw that out there because, I mean, things happen, especially, sometimes a lot of kids a lot of times will jump in the pool. Like if they don't swim a lot at home, they'll get swimmer's ear or something. You know what I'm saying? Like get that in there and who knows? I mean, it's just good to have. Hopefully nobody that's listening to the show ever needs it, but maybe in the back of your head, if something pops up, you hear this, like Natalie just, just go down to the front desk.
I just think if you're worried about it and you're not sure how to get access, it was a really good service. That they came to the room once they found it. They had medication they could give us, or they could really easily get us the medication, so we could have him on the mend and back on Tron.
That is so good. Here we go. Woo! What'd you think of Tron, by the way?
I loved it. I loved it. We'd watched the movies before we went, just to reminisce, and I just love a roller coaster. I think a lot of the rides they're building, there's so much virtual reality things. I just love an old school, really good roller coaster. I know some people said it was short, but it was fast and it was fun.
It's fine. Yeah, it's long enough.
We enjoyed it.
I'm with you. It's cool. It's neon. It's 80s. It's plenty long.
Yeah.
For me. If it's not long enough, I'll ride it again.
It was our friend who's quite tall. We're a bit worried about him fitting on the bike, but because it is an unusual, seat that you're sitting on, and even that was pretty cool.
I run every day, just about run or walk. And so my calves are always like super tight and super sore. And that was one thing when that thing clamped down, but other than that, and then you're gone. So then you don't worry about it because you're just worried about hanging on tight. But yeah, it's a fun ride. And you get the coolest picture and video. Like if you have PhotoPass or a Memory Maker, I love that. Because I have
absolutely. Our friend's daughter she's so terrified. It is probably our highlight photo of the whole trip.
It's like, and if you're a couple, right? I'm sitting next to my wife. It's great because I'm like, totally into it. Like, here we go, and she's just like, ah. So it's the best picture for the living room. Okay, so let's jump into dining. So I know you went to a lot of cool places, but looking back now, it's been a minute. It's been a few months, but what would you say? Because I have a few places I'd ask about, but I want to ask you, like, what was maybe your top table service experience of the trip?
Top table service, I think it's tied. We've got 50s prime time. That was so much fun, and the food was amazing. The guys are still complaining they didn't order extra fried chicken. I kept having to remind my husband that he had been sick the day before, so extra fried chicken maybe wasn't ideal, but the guys are still just saying how much they absolutely loved it. The other one was Artist Pointe. I know you and Pam and the guys were saying on another episode recently that you think it sort of lost some of the magic, but obviously we hadn't been before. This was our first time, It was a beautifully decorated venue. The characters walking around was so fun. The Evil Queen was hilarious. And the food was just beautiful, and it was beautifully themed.
Now, see, I've never been. I was never there before because it was a signature restaurant before, I believe, and it was kind of fancy over Wilderness Lodge. And I was just like, yeah, I I tend to not go to the signature places. They're too expensive for my blood a lot of times. I mean, I went to Le Cellier and stuff back in the day, but now that it's got the Evil Queen and the that kind of stuff, I'm curious. But the problem is, like, it doesn't. There's a few restaurants that just never come to my mind when I'm thinking about going to places, and I think that Wilderness Lodge a lot of times is just like off the radar. Like you don't think about it as often. I don't know if that's true for everybody, but like Artist Point just never ever pops into my head. You don't hear many people talk about it.
I think I just did a lot of research around, what are the really cool themed experiences that you can do, and that had the character dining as well. So when we were making the list for the restaurant, I can eat a great steak at home. I don't need to go to a steak restaurant. But what I can't do is eat in a castle or eat in a forest or eat in a diner, So that's sort of how that helped make our list of what are those really fun experiences. And it was really great to see Wilderness Lodge. That's a really cool restaurant, a really cool hotel, sorry. Like just walking into that foyer, I've never seen anything so huge in my life. That was just like astounding, that foyer. And then just getting to walk around and then have that beautiful dinner. The Evil Queen was so funny. So I'd convinced the guys that we needed to wear that we'd bought them Grumpy shirts from one of the Disney outlets before we visited. And so we've got a really great photo of them wearing this shirt with Grumpy. And then when we went to get a picture with the Evil Queen, she like banished them. She's like, who let them wear that? I'm not getting a photo with them with that shirt on. And because I had made them wear the shirts, I then got thrown out as well. And we're all just laughing at it. It was just, in the end, obviously we got let back in for our photo, but she was such a character. It was just good fun.
See, that's what I love. I love that because it's more than a meal. It's an experience at that point, right? And it's the story behind the meal. You have that.
Yeah.
I got to get over. And I've heard it is really cool looking in there. So my problem is I just have to remember to make the ADR and go. I know it's super popular over marathon weekend because Dopey's there, and everybody that's running the Dopey challenge wants to get their picture with Dopey. I always forget. I'm terrible. Like I got to do it. I got to do it. So
I'm going to make you a list, Mike. Next trip, I'm going to send you a list of stuff you got to do.
Natalie, I'm sending you a list and you can make my ADR. Usually it's Scott's going this year, so I'm going to be out of luck. I'm just going to be, notice me having hot dogs and that's fine. I'll corn dog nuggets. I'm good. I'll save money. You did Tepanito too, real quick though. Did that live up to your expectations? I love Tepanito myself. But.
That was fun. That was the night my husband wasn't well, so he unfortunately couldn't make it. But no, it was a fun meal, nice food, and I ended up we couldn't eat it all because it was big portions, so I ended up taking him back a plate of box of rice and meat to eat. So yeah, that was really good fun.
Cool. And one other thing, kind of like in between there, you guys did get to do Oga's. It's kind of a weird thing since you guys did Starcruiser. Was Oga's a letdown because of how cool Starcruiser was? You'd have a different perspective than most people.
I was really looking forward to it, and I think it was a little bit of a letdown. Not so much because we'd done Starcruiser, but we did a late reservation. I'd read about, if you did the late reservation, you can come out of the park and be in Galaxy's Edge when everything's closed and empty, and that was really cool. But because it was later, it seemed to be a little bit of a different vibe. And so our friend with their 14-year-old said didn't really like it because he said it felt like a bar almost, and he didn't really love having his 14-year-old there, sort of in the chaos of this sort of what felt more like a bar than a fun Disney hangout. So we did stay for the one drink and got some photos, but I guess it was maybe because of Starcruiser as well, maybe a little bit of a letdown, but still fun.
Yeah. First time I was in there at like 9:45 a.m. and I was like, oh my God, I'm in a bar. I got to buy a drink. It's 9:45 on a Tuesday morning. I'm like, what am I doing? But I did. I got like some kind of drink with tequila in it, and like DJ Rex was playing music. I'm like, what universe am I in that I'm having a drink at 9:45 a.m. on a Tuesday? But hey, when you're on vacation, I guess. I was like, I'm here for research. I got to find out what this place is, because right after it opened. I was like, this place is pretty cool. Okay, real quick, a couple tables or a quick service place I want to ask you about. Polite Pig, because that's very American. I mean, I think. Was that a hit?
So my husband loves American barbecue. We have a number of smokers in our backyard. He loves to cook it, loves to eat it. So I definitely wanted to have American barbecue in the trip. That was really delicious. Of course, I think we got like a fried chicken burger and a brisket sandwich or something, and some great cookies. That was definitely good.
Nice. So what stood out to you though, as far as like other maybe snacks? I saw you even have beignets. You got over to French Quarter. What?
Oh, absolutely. Love the beignets. So after the Polite Pig, I wanted to eat everything at Disney Springs. There were so many delicious looking treats, but I was like, no, we're going for these beignets. So we jumped on the little ferry, headed over. We ended up getting six. We probably didn't need to eat six, but I was convinced that it would be a better photo to have six on the plate. So we ended up.
You came all the way from Australia. I mean, you got to get six.
We've come I'm like, we've come all this way. We may not eat these for many years, so we're getting six. We didn't eat them all. We took some back and ended up eating them for breakfast the next day.
Yes.
They were amazing. The corn dog nuggets, definitely a favorite. We mobile ordered them from Tron. So we're coming out of Tron, and I'd ordered it, and I said, we're ready. I took the gamble, said, we're here, but we weren't here. We were 5 minutes away.
You play that game too. I do the same thing. I'm like, yeah, I'm here. It's relative. I'm relatively.
I played the game, and I was like, I'm confident we can get there in the next couple of minutes. It turns out there was actually a parade going through, and my husband said, if my corn dog nuggets are cold, you're going to be in trouble. But no, they were perfect when we got there, so I was lucky.
Yeah, okay. There's a tip for you, everybody, here on a Monday. If you hear, before you say I'm here, listen to see if you hear any music.
Make sure there's no parade.
Is there a soundtrack playing? Do you hear drums? Do not push the button.
That was a rookie mistake by me.
Exactly. Now I'm going to think about that, because I do that at the studios all the time for my grilled cheese chicken sandwich thing. I'm always like, I'll be at the very front of the park. Yeah, I'm here. I mean, there's no parade there. So really, I mean, there's nothing going to stop me. I'm on a mission. I mean,
I think you can probably run faster than me as well. So,
well, I mean, no running, but it's speed walking. I don't want to get thrown in Disney jail, but yes, I can walk. I'm pretty tall and can walk pretty fast. Any other though snacks, or because you did a couple other Yak and Yeti? I see a couple other places.
I just love the theme, eating a Mickey bar or eating, some Mickey waffles for breakfast. That's always a favorite of mine. So anything that looks like Mickey, really.
Oh gosh, we would travel so well. Next time you come over, you gotta let me know, because I want to travel with your crew. We would, because you do so much. Like it's like, I feel like you're like in my head. We do so much alike as far as what you like on your Disney vacations. So as we kind of wrap, though, it looks like at the end, though, you went over to Universal, right? And it looked like it's kind of Halloween season. Tried a couple of things. Maybe some things were hits, some things were misses. Looks like Harry Potter was awesome. You're a hot Harry Potter fan. So you want to share just a few brief thoughts on your time over at Universal?
Yeah, absolutely. So we stayed, we had been previously, and we knew that we needed that express pass. So we stayed at one of the premier resorts. So we got that. And that's amazing. Like walking into the parks and pretty much just walking onto whatever ride you like, that is, definitely worth the money. We were really excited about Halloween Horror Nights because we'd heard so many good things. I think we just got unlucky that night. It was raining. And they have a lot of people at that event. So the lines for the haunted houses were extremely long. Because it was raining, we just weren't willing to stand it for 60 minutes in the pouring rain to get into these houses. So we didn't get to enjoy that as much as what we wanted. So I think just for people to consider, is that the sort of thing you're after? Because it is quite long queues when they visit. But we love Universal. It's always really good fun. The Harry Potter stuff, it feels very Disney, and what they've built, the immersiveness, like it felt like Pandora that they've done at Animal Kingdom, that's the sort of level that it felt that they've done. It was really beautiful, and we loved that. Yeah, and some great rides at Universal, like the Velocicoaster. Oh my God, that was the craziest thing I've ever been on. The Hagrid's ride, that is just so cool. Definitely that they love their extreme roller coasters.
Yeah, I felt the same when I went over to Universal and we went through the Harry Potter areas. I felt like it was so Disney. Like I've never seen the Harry Potter movies or read the books, but I was just like, this is so wild. Like getting on the train, going through the train station, the bank. I mean, like I didn't know anything about the story, but I was like, this world is crazy. Like it just, the snow on the mountaintops, they did, it's a home run in thematic, like in a thematic environment. Like it was so cool.
Yeah, they've built definitely a beautiful, beautiful world there.
I loved it. I didn't know what was going on. And they're like, and then Ricky's like, I think Ricky was there, Ben or somebody, this is a travel agent thing, but they're like, okay, this store is going to have a kid puking in the window. I'm like, what? I'm like, that's not Disney. I'm like, it's part of the story. I'm like, what story? I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, yeah, it was. Anyway, so yeah, different. But it was cool. So we got to kind of wrap, but man, what a great, you got to do so much. But as we wrap the show, I always like to ask the guests, like, what really stands out as far as this trip? Was there like one special memory? You had so much going on. You did these tours, you did Galactic Starcruiser, you got to be with friends, you got to be with your husband, you had a lot happening, but was there one like maybe unexpected thing that happened during the trip that you still remember? Any tips you want to leave with our audience? Because I mean, you have such a unique perspective on things.
So the group that I was traveling with, we've traveled together before. We're a good crew because we like the same things, and you have that flexibility to say, hey, we're going to hang out ourselves now. So we're good travelers, and what we like to do every day is to say, what's your highlight? Because you can't pick one highlight on a trip like this. Every day you've got something really cool that you've done. So that's something we really enjoyed every day, was saying, hey, what was your highlight for the day? And everyone seems to have a different perspective. One thing that really did stand out for us, which was actually before Disney, was going to the Kennedy Space Center in Orlando. We really loved that. That was, I think we don't get as much access to sort of the space sort of stuff over here as you guys. Obviously, you've got NASA there in your backyard. So that whole place just takes you on the journey of all of the really cool exhibitions. So that was definitely a highlight for all of us.
Oh, you're speaking my language. As somebody who worked at space camp for educators, and I'm a space nut. That makes me so happy. Oh man, that you mentioned Kennedy Space Center, because I got to work at Marshall Space Flight Center down in Huntsville, Alabama, and it was my greatest 2 summers of my life. It was so amazing getting to. I got to be like on the inside there for a little bit. I saw my first 3D printer, and I was just stood there. I was like, that thing's making real, like it's printing stuff. It was in 2002. I was like, I couldn't believe it. Like the stuff when they took us on this back behind the scenes tour, I was like, that thing is not printing like words on a piece of paper. It's printing like stuff, like it's making things.
I know, it's crazy. And now you can just go down and buy one from the shop.
Exactly. Because we were teaching class, because I had to teach a lesson because I taught teachers at the time for professional development. I know it's way off of the rabbit trail, but one of the classes I taught was on spinoffs of NASA and how one of the reasons that we have this NASA, government agency, that not only to get people to the moon, but one of the benefits to the American citizen is that these technologies that NASA develops trickles down to all these things that become worthwhile to the American public and also worldwide, things like Velcro and just telecommunications and things like that. But yeah, but I was sitting there looking, that's what happened with 3D printers, right? And I can buy them for $100. But I remember sitting in this like big warehouse in Marshall Space Flight Center. You had to have top secret clearance to get in there. Like we had to get fingerprinted and all this stuff to go on this tour. And I was looking at that thing and I was just, this was before iPhones even. This was like way before iPhones even. Because I didn't want to take a picture so bad if I could have, but it was before that. I just staring at that thing. I was like, what? I couldn't, like, it blew my brain almost exploded. I'm like, it's not printing words. It's printing like a block. It's printing like a sphere. It was the weird, anyway. But yeah, I'm so glad you said that because I'm a space nut. So that just, you just made me so happy. Now, I love that. How cool is it that we're talking? You're in Australia. I'm in the dead center of the United States. And we're Disney fans.
Amazing.
Greatest.
Amazing.
It is so awesome. Well, Natalie, thank you so much. And truly, I hope that we could maybe see each other at a Disney destination someday, share a soda, share some stories. And it is so cool, though, that Disney can bring us all together. And like the Olympics are bringing the world together right now. And I just love this for kind of the world. And it's so cool. So thanks for taking the time. And I hope you don't get too cold down there in that 60-degree Fahrenheit weather down there this winter. So
I'm going to go put a jumper on. It's getting a bit chilly.
Please do. We'll be thinking of you. Make sure you take care of my Sydney Swans. We need them to get a championship down there for us.
Will do.
All right, Natalie, you have a good one. I appreciate you very much.
Thanks, Mike. Good to talk to you.
All right. Don't forget today's show brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. Don't forget, we'd love to help you plan your next Disney vacation, whether it's to Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, or Adventures by Disney. We're going to take great care of you. And the best part, no additional cost to you. Check out all the details right now over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. That one extra click supports everything we do throughout the year. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you so very much to our Patreon supporters. You guys make the show possible. Couldn't do it without you. And our Patreon supporters get a bonus show every week. It's called Mike in the Midwest. Come on over. We'd love to have you this week. Patreon.com/Be Our Guest Podcast. Give me a follow on the social media. I'm at Be Our Guest Mike on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads. And you can also check us out this Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. We have the BOGP open line where we open up the phone lines and you guys take over the show. You can talk Disney trips. We could talk Disney news. We just have a good time talking Disney, and it's your show. So give us a call, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central this Sunday night on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, or Twitch. You pick your destination. We'll be there, and we'll be taking your calls. Finally, we'll check you out in the Be Our Guest Podcast Clubhouse. That's our Discord server where we have over 1,000 of our listeners 24/7 talking Disney. You have a question about trip planning? We have a good time, answering them right away. Usually within the hour, you'll get a great answer. We talk about sports in there. We talk about cruising. We talk about everything. You just jump in. You want a friendly face, a friendly Disney fan to talk to. That's where to go. So just swing by today over at beourguestpodcast.com/clubhouse. I'll be looking for you. All right, time to get out of here and let you get on with your Wednesday. Actually, Monday. See, I knew I would do that. It's Monday here on the feed. It's Thursday where Natalie is. It's Wednesday where I'm at. I've blown it up, but wherever you're listening, whenever you're listening, let's hope you have a great day. So for Natalie down in Sydney, Australia, I'm Mike here in St. Peters, Missouri. You guys have a great day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. I knew I'd blow that. I knew that would happen. Dang it. Oh well. It's been 16 years. Everybody knows it's not a trick. There's no trick to this anymore. When I first started the show, I was so serious about nobody can know that this isn't live. Yeah, the gig's up.
It's okay.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time, Natalie, because I know it's early, you got stuff to do probably on Thursday, but it means a lot. So thank you for taking the time.
Really happy to. No worries. Thanks, Mike.
I'll talk to you soon. Take care.
See you.
All right. See you later. Bye-bye. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.